Anyways, let's do the tier list. I expect ballpoint to be double S tier smile.
3 months ago, I had made a main weapon tier list to talk about what I felt the best weapons were in Splatoon 3 for version 1.1.2. This was that tier list, alright? But ranking all weapons from best to worst, tier list 1.1.2. Right, so you guys see this, right? This is the tier list that I made. This is how I situated everything. I put all these weapons in D tier, all these weapons in C tier, all these weapons in B tier, all these weapons in A, all these weapons in S, you see, so on and so forth. A lot has changed because now we're in version 2.0.1. My god, there's gonna be a lot of things that I'm going to change in this main weapon tier list. With this one, I'm going to rearrange some of these things and also add the 13 new weapons, which I will give a more in-depth response for why I put each weapon in which tier, alright? I feel like how we're going to start with changing some of these weapons is first what I want to do, we're going to start from below and see if I need to amend anything, alright? So let's get started. So, speaking of D tier, we got the Mini Splatling, the Undercover Brella, the L3 Nozzle Nose, the Tender Brella, and the Splatana. I feel like I only need to change 2 of these. I think I'm going to move the L3 up into B tier, mainly because of now how strong Crab Tank is. I don't feel like it's as horrible as I thought it was going to be. Like, it definitely is better than all these other weapons that were also placed in here. So, probably a higher B, and I feel like the Crab Tank definitely does carry up. I think with the L3 still, the weapon is still kind of slow in terms of like between shot intervals and all that. Or maybe its shot velocity is like a little bit slower. I don't know. I feel like there's something with the L3 in Splatoon 3 and compared to Splatoon 2 where it's just not as quick as it used to be, alright? And that's why I feel like it's just in B. But it having Crab Tank is super strong for it, and I feel like if people weren't using the Splasher Matic right now, then probably more people would probably pick this up and use it as like a small niche or something. Splatana Wiper. So a lot has changed with this. This thing paints like crazy now. Back then, the Splatana Wiper had awful paint. Its paint was so bad. Now they gave it a buff where it paints like 20% or somewhere in the 20% realm where it paints so much better now. And on top of that, they fixed Ultra Stamp, because for some reason the special just did not act like it was a special at all. So because of all of this actually, and Torpedo being as strong as it is, I think respectfully Splatana Wiper now goes in A. It's quite the big jump actually. I'm actually gonna put them on just so you guys can see exactly where I put these. Like, I'm saying A for now because let's just, like, I'm just gonna be really honest. It's still Ultra Stamp, and Ultra Stamp, I mean, even though they did fix it, that's the great thing. It's not the most, like, useful special in the entire game. Otherwise, if the weapon did have a different special, then yeah, maybe it would be S. On top of that, one thing that makes it really good as well, which is why it's in A in the first place, is that it defeats Crab Tank so easily. So it's a Crab Tank killer. At the same time, some people probably wouldn't even go for it just because of the fact that it has Ultra Stamp, which doesn't feel so useful sometimes. So the Mini Splatling, yeah, honestly, I still don't see any reason for why you would want to use this. The Mini Splatling itself, it's not like a horrible weapon, but like, I feel like it's still suffering from like an ink efficiency nerf. It still feels like that, and the kit, I mean, Burst One's great. Ultra Stamp is just meh. How this weapon feels in this game in terms of like everything that's going around it, it's nothing really like amazing about the weapon right now. So I kind of want to move it to C, honestly. Okay, you know what? I will move that to C. I'm gonna leave that in C actually, because I'm just thinking like, okay, the weapon, it's not like downright terrible like the weapons that I'm gonna talk about in D, which is the Undercover Brella, which is just, it's awful. I mean, I feel like the Resider, honestly, with this weapon is the only thing that's got going for it, but, like, this weapon's so weak, it gets destroyed by almost everything. Like, I feel like the only place you would actually play this weapon would be on museum zones. I feel like Resider is, like, the one that really works well for, museum zones. That's, like, the only map in the game where I'm just like, yeah, okay, I could see this happen. Undercover Brella is kind of sad. They just need to buff the Brella class in general. Same with the Tender Brella. Its ink efficiency and how slow it is. Like, I definitely feel like the Tender Brella right now is actually probably the better Brella out of all the Brellas right now. Since we're talking about Brella, let me just bring this one back down because I don't know if you guys seen that stream where I actually used the Splat Brella and how much ink it uses. Oh my lord. How much ink this thing uses when you're just opening up the shield. It like uses like almost half your ink tank, dude. It's ridiculous. So bad. And on top of that, how bad the damage output is. It's ridiculously bad. Like, It's not good. They just need to buff the Brella class in general. That's all I can really say. I could make cases for where you could probably put the Tenebra in C, but at the same time, it uses so much ink. And I feel like there's just a couple of issues with it in general, which are a little bit hard to you know, deal with. And I think it's slower in this game too, so yeah, I'm sorry. The Brella class is just all in D for now. So we're going to move on to C rank. Sploosh is going to stay. As much as I love Sploosh, the weapon itself, just give it a good kit. This thing's going to be either A or S tier, 100%. I think the Sploosh as a weapon is super solid. I feel like it could have a better special. That's the only thing that's really holding it back. Bamboozler, I'm not a fan of Bamboozler right now. I think Bamboozler stays at C. I think a tree is going to stay at C. Yeah, actually, no, yeah. A3 stays at C, just the fact that it has Tacticula, and Tacticula right now is not in a great spot. The Jet Sculpture, Line Marker, that's why we're not moving that up right now. The Aerospray is, yeah, that's still staying at C. I could honestly see the Aerospray being a B, because I think Fizzy Ball and Reciter for this weapon works really well, but I think the weapon itself is just like, so it'll probably stay there. Clash, it's kind of slow, actually really slow. That's why I think it stays at this. I don't think it's going to be moved up or anything. Rapid Blaster, I think we do move Rapid Blaster upwards because I can't see it being at the level of any of these weapons too. I think it's better than all of these weapons in this current point. So we're going to probably leave it at there. But I think I'm happy with that. I'm happy with all these at being at C right now. I don't think these need to move, and I think that's all good. We're moving on to B. Oh my god. I can't believe I put Spartana down here. Oh my god, alright, that's gonna move up. So just looking at this, I'm gonna straight away put the things I think that are gonna be moved down. Personally, I think Dynamo gets moved down. I don't think the Dynamo's that great. I feel like the Dynamo right now is suffering with like a bunch of stuff. First, it definitely needs a better kit. It feels like you're doing nothing almost all the time. Yeah, I don't think the Dynamo deserves to be in B right now. I also think the 96 gets moved down too. Like I said, me and the 96, we are in a very complicated relationship. I used to love her in Splatoon 2. I used to really love her in Splatoon 1. But right now, she doesn't have a wool. I'm sorry, but it's not that great right now. I'm going to be real. There's just not a lot you can get done with a 96 other than like spamming the ink vacuum. And that's about it. That's about it. Like, this weapon needs a wool. This weapon needs a wool. She needs a wool, man. It can't... I just really cannot with this weapon right now. It needs a wool. Or just a better sub-weapon in general, you know? Even, like, something like Poison Mist. Toxic Mist. I keep saying the Japanese version. Toxic Mist would be so much better with this weapon. Just so that you can actually do something or slow things down, because this thing is just so slow right now. Its RNG is like, it feels like it's really, it's even worse in this game, so I've moved this down to at least C. But other than that, I think those are the only weapons I'm going to move down. Weapons I'm going to move up. Oh yeah, the obvious one is Spatana Wiper. Well, no, the Spatana Stamper. This is like a mix between S and X. How strong this thing has become. Burst Bomb combo and how strong it is against Crab Tank right now. Like, the fact that it has Zipcaster, I mean, I think Zipcaster is still really good. Depends on the player. So that's why I think it'll probably stay an S and probably not X. Tana Wiper definitely deserves an S right now. I'm actually going to move up the Octobrush. Now, I don't know about you, but it's just from stuff I've seen and people I've played with who've used the Octobrush. Right now, I think this weapon is so solid with Zipcaster. You get so much done. How wide the radius is of pain and how wide the radius is to actually just kill things. It's very consistent, you know. It's one of the easiest weapons to actually pull off with using Zipcasters, so I think that definitely deserves to be moved up. I was thinking of moving Tri-Slosher up, but I think Tri-Slosher gets like a high B for now. And every other weapon right here, the Bloblubber, it's like a niche. I don't think it's horrible, but it's not like a go-to pick where I see a lot of people use it. Splattershot Pro has Crab Tank, but Line Marker brings it down. Otherwise, it'd probably be A. Just the fact that it has Crab Tank. Squiffer has Point Sensor and Big Bubbler. It's not awful. It still works, and the Squiffer is still really good. I think it can be played at a high level, but like it's a very niche weapon where you have to have like a lot of confidence to making sure you hit your shots. Maybe in the future stuff will change and people will probably use the Squiffer more than usual, but I think it's just solid right now. It's not amazing, but like it does put some work in sometimes. So Nautilus, I really like the Nautilus as well. If we're gonna compare the Nautilus to all these other weapons, I think we put it here though. Actually, yeah, I think we also moved the Nautilus up to A. It's a solid mid-range weapon right now. It's a little slower in this game compared to Splatoon 2. The kits could be a little bit different, but honestly, I feel like the kit that it has in this game is like fairly solid. It's like the Splattershot Pro from Splatoon 2, but it's the Nautilus. But the Nautilus is like a more consistent weapon because it shoots more and has fairly the same range, so it has better suppression than the Splattershot Pro in general. So yeah, I think Nautilus is in a good spot right now. Probably A. NZAP, nah. Shot velocity is way too slow. Tat cooler is not as great. I feel like what they could do to tat to cooler to make it a little bit better than what it is, they should give it object shredder or something, or like some object shredder effect to make it more usable against some specials, you know? Even if it's not like the full effect of object shredder, like just something, just so that you could use a tat cooler, you see a crab or wave breaker, and you can use a tat cooler to break one of these specials much faster. It would be nice to see. Or maybe if just, maybe like a not damage up. Something, you know, something. Don't give it armor. Whoever said that, mod span that guy. Slosher, I mean, I like the Slosher, but I think it gets out-painted so much, dude. This thing gets out-painted so much, and I think it struggles against, like, really rush down paint heavy cops. I like the Slosher, but like I can't put it in A. Gluga, as a K52 gal kit still, I don't think it deserves to move up. I think it stays where it is right now, so this is time for the Bs. We're gonna move up. So let's start with the things that we're going to move down. Yes, I put Reflux in A in the last video because Tenta missiles were a thing. It was the fastest weapon to build Tenta missiles and then continuously spam them. But now we're in an age where Tenta missiles are not spammed. I think we bring this down one tier. It still paints amazingly well. It's still one of the best painting weapons in the game. In terms of actual fighting, you will struggle, but it still paints really well, and you will get Tenta missiles, but, you know, it's just not as quick as it used to be. I think same for the Goo Tuber as well. I think the Goo Tuber is still really good, though. In my opinion, I think the Goo Tuber is still really good because it's the only thing that's been brought down is just that missiles aren't as strong. And they aren't as spammable. The thing is that GooTuber never really spammed missiles in the first place, but now that the gauge that goes down when you use missiles, when using GooTuber, now it's even slower to actually get, for you to actually get missiles, you know? As much as I love GooTuber in this game right now, I think it's a really solid weapon. With missiles being nerfed, I think it deserves to go down. It's like nothing to do with the weapon for it going down. It's just the special weapon just has gotten weaker, so. Luna Blaster, okay, you know what? I love Luna Blaster, and I think it's great, but not anymore. I don't know what I was thinking when I put this weapon in A. I mean, Zipcaster is great, and I think it's a good Zipcaster weapon, but nowhere near... I don't know how it was over Octobrush for how good Octobrush is with Zipcaster. I just don't feel like this weapon is as good as Zipcaster compared to on Octobrush, so I'm actually going to bring this down to at least B. Alright. I feel like the weapon is a little slow at times, though. It feels like, I don't know, when I say slow, I feel like the weapon suffers with a little bit of end lag after you take a shot with the blaster. Maybe that's something that they, like, buff in the future, because it does feel like they have some end lag after each shot, and it's very, very noticeable, at least for the time I played it. So, things I'm going to move up, though. I'm going to move up the heavy splatling, actually. How the weapon is right now and how it deals with a lot of things in this game as a backline is really, really solid. Wavebreaker as being as strong as it is right now, too. I feel like the weapon, like this weapon with heavy splatling, works super well. I think it kind of rivals the dually sculpture as well. At least in terms of fighting, if we're going to talk about that. I feel like the dually sculpture suffers a little bit because like you're shooting from both crosshairs at the same time. And you're way more consistent with heavy. If they're playing off the Wavebreaker and they're like fighting with it, I feel like the heavy does a better job than the dual sculpture. Not to say that the dually sculpture doesn't do as good. I think they're both good, but I feel like these two kind of rival each other right now, and they're both pretty good. So apart from that, I think Splattershot, it stays exactly where it is. I don't think there's any real change to Splattershot. I think the Splat Roller stays where it is. I think the Splat Roller is also really solid. I think the Inkbrush also is really solid. Kit is amazing, actually. I think it's in a niche where it's just like some players will play it and pull it off really well. With its Splat Bomb and Killer Whale. Splat Dualies. I might move Splat Dualies up to S. Like, the thing is that the Splat Dualies is just hard to get used to. Let me just get this clear. It's not, like, extremely hard to learn how to learn Splat Dualies, but, like, it's got a little bit of a learning curve to it. The fact that it has Crab is amazing, and that's one good thing for it. It rivals this, and this for being like which is the best crab weapon in the game. Ballpoint, I think ballpoint stays where it is. I don't think it needs to move. I think it's better than all these weapons here, so I think it stays there and it's not gonna move. And I think that's gonna be our A tier for now. We're gonna move up to here, to the S tier stuff. There's a lot of things that I gotta move around in S tier. Tri-Stringer, they buffed the Tri-Stringer, but I feel like in this current meta with how much rushdown stuff there is and how strong Crab Tank is right now, I love the Tri-Stringer, and even with its buff, which is really amazing, I think it still needs to go down just one tier. I think it's good. I think it's really, really good, but I don't think it's S tier for now. Let's just say that crabs did not exist, or crabs weren't as strong as they were right now, then I probably would bring it back. For how it performs in the current meta right now, I don't think it should be in S right now. It's a great weapon, but just not. It doesn't keep up with all that type of stuff, I don't think. Especially when everyone's dead. Like, I don't know if you guys are going to, like, the situation where you see a Tri-Stringer or you are a Tri-Stringer. Everyone on your team has been taken out. It's just like the Tri-Stringer is there and you have, like, 2 splashes and a Slosher machine rushing you. It's just like, what the heck do you do? And one of them crabs, what the heck do? You don't do anything. It's so hard to take them off the crab in the first place, even using the Tri-Stringer, because you have to have the good arc for it, and that is not easy in itself. So this moves down a tier, Flings a Roller. I think the Flings a Roller is still good, but missiles, missiles getting nerfed. There's like less reason to actually use it. At the end of all of this, they were using the Flings the Roller the most out of all the missile weapons, because of course Goo Tuber, as great as it was, it's hard to use, and Reflux, it just doesn't have like good fighting capabilities, but the Flings it does, and it's a lot easier, and the learning curve for it was like really easy to actually learn how to use. So Flings are gonna be an A tier for now. I need to move this one down. All right, Dapples. So I said back then in my last tier list that I thought Dapples is one of the best beacon weapons in the game. I still think that, actually. But Tacticaler is just not that great. This is going to move down 2 tiers. It doesn't deserve to be an A. It deserves to be in B. I don't think it deserves to be in C, but it's going to move down to at least, like, around here. Once they do something with Tacticaler to make it stronger, or give it reason to run it in a team, then it'll probably move back up. But for now, Dapple Dualies is just, it having Tactical is just, it kind of brings it down. But like, if you're going to use it for beacons, then hell yeah, then there's your niche, and it's probably going to be, really good for you. Just wait till they probably bring an Elite that has beacons again, though. I think the Splattershot Junior, yeah, I think the Splattershot Junior can stay where it is. It's an amazing weapon for zone. We're gonna move this to D. No, I'm kidding. Right. Personally, I knew this thing was strong because it was just the quickest crab weapon in the entire game. And it is. It still is, and it's shown itself to be one of the quickest crab getting weapons in the game. And I definitely said that. I think I said that in my last tier list video. This definitely is an X tier weapon right now, because burst bombs are so strong, crab is so strong at the same time, and the weapon itself is really, really strong. This right now is like one of the best weapons in the game. Now, just to mention, as I said, I moved this up. It's also the reason why I moved the Splat Dualies up, because I think after the splash, the Dualies get crab tank fairly fast. Not completely fast, but the Dualies doesn't get the crab tank as fast as the Splasher Matic, which I think is why it deserves to be an S. And I think it's what I feel like they might do to the Splasher Matic eventually is they either raise the special special points meter from 200 to 220. I think it's still 200. That's crazy. It's probably they're gonna move it up to 220 or maybe 230 or whatever. They're gonna probably move it really high. I also have a feeling that they might give the Splasher Matic ink efficiency nerf. And what I feel like that's probably going to do as well is, while it also being at 220, it having a special meter nerf means that it's going to actually be longer for you to actually get your crab tanks in general, because there's going to be much more times where you actually run out of ink and not output ink on the floor to actually build your special in the first place. And when you throw your burst bombs, that's going to be awful to shoot afterwards. Like, it's gonna be a thing where like you throw a burst bomb and you want to assure that you have ink to actually shoot people to actually take them out, you know. I could see that happening if they really want to nerf this weapon, because at the same time I don't feel like it's crab tank that makes this weapon so strong. I think it's just that this weapon gets crab tank too fast, to where there's just so many crab tanks now just running around. So yeah, I think that's gonna be that's what we've probably moved off. I'm also going to move this weapon up to X tier, Personally, for me, I think the Tetras, it's just the best movement dually, dude. It just does a lot of different things that I feel like other weapons just don't do. And like I said, if you remember when I was talking about the undercover umbrella, this weapon is like the best weapon, like one of the best weapons to use, a great weapon pick on certain Splat Zones maps. Because I feel like as an entry weapon, to reslide onto a zone to pop it, because it puts a lot of ink down at the same time. Like, it's probably the best weapon to actually slide out and try to avoid any incoming shots that once you've used your reslider, you know? It's a niche. The people who play Tetras can play this weapon extremely well, and I think it definitely deserves to be up there in terms of the X weapons right now. And with that, I think all these weapons stay where they are. I think Range Blaster is still really good. Right now, I think Range Blaster is like one of the best blasters in the game. That's Suction Bomb, and it has Wave Breaker, and I think the kit's just, for that, it's a really good kit. And I think it deals with a lot of things really well. I think it's just got really good killing power. The only thing it just doesn't have is good inking. Although, you might not see it as much in competitive, because people are running double splash and Slosher Machine right now. I still think it's still pretty dang solid. Yeah, it's gonna stay there for now. I think Squeezer doesn't need to move. I think it's still really friggin' solid. Like, it's a really hard weapon to use at the same time, but it doesn't need to move anywhere, because first, the Squeezer has super long range, can paint for itself with its two different modes. Wool works really well with it. Trizuka still works really well with it. I've actually been running Object Shredder on this thing. It helps a lot when it comes to dealing with crab tanks, and it also helps a lot when it comes to dealing with wave breakers. Not so much on the big bubbler. I mean, it definitely does help, but specifically crab tank and wave breakers, this thing shreds them much faster. If you do use Squeezer, you don't have to, but hey, my suggestion, try some Object Shredder of it. If you're not already using it, it might actually do some good for you. And apart from that, I think these weapons stay where they are. All these weapons are good to be an S. And now we're going to go to X, which there are going to be a couple of weapons that I'm going to move down. I think the Rapid Pro Rapid Pro is really good. I still think it's really good. But just in the current meta, it is not that great right now. This crab meta, it struggles against it a lot in terms of putting out enough damage to actually deal with the crabs. I think it's good because it's really good at just anchoring things, but I think it needs to go down to at least A. At least. And like around here, I think. It's kind of like the same thing as the Tri-Stringer, where the weapon's good, but what it's going against right now, it struggles a lot. I need to move the Hydra down to A as well. I think the things that it struggles with is just keeping up with the initial paint coverage. If you're gonna use a Booyah Bomb weapon, most people just go ahead and use Slosher Machine anyway. But the weapon itself, yeah, it's strong. It will shred anything in its path, and it does really good damage. Is it better than Heavy right now in this current meta? I wouldn't say it is. I think for sure we keep the Hydra Splatling here. E-Liter does not need to move. Best charger in the game. If you're good at sniping, you will do good with E-Liter. It'll pick off anything. It can even pick off crabs if you are in the right position and all that type of stuff. You just have to have the good accuracy to actually pull that off. So I think 52 Gal's still good. I think 52 Gal's still really good. If you're gonna use a shooter that's not Splash or Junior or Squeezer, then you use 52. And the 52 is still solid. I think it's still really, really solid, so it doesn't really need to move at all. So yeah, right. So that's the switch around for every weapon, right? But now we got a bunch of new weapons, right? We do have a bunch of new weapons, and I'm pretty sure you guys are probably are wondering what I think about some of these weapons that we've got here. And right, there's a lot to do here. So first we're gonna start off with this. Even though it's got Fizzy Bomb, I just don't think this Luna Blaster is that great. I don't know. I personally, I kind of don't like this Luna Blaster. Like, I think for me, I prefer the vanilla Luna Blaster with the Splat Bomb. I'm not too much of a fan of this Luna, at least from what I've used. I think it's more like a high C, like around here, dude. Probably here. I think it's around here, honestly, dude. It's got Ultra Stamp and Fizzy Bomb. I think the Fizzy Bomb's great. It's got Ultra Stamp, and Ultra Stamp is just meh. It's not like the most amazing special in the game, so I think right now this Luna stays at a high C for now. The Snipewriter. This thing has like Sprinkler and Tacticooler. Really weird combination. I don't feel like it's like a horrible weapon, but I feel like there's almost no reason to use it. It's a fun weapon to use. I don't think it deserves C. Not at all. I feel like it's a C if you can't use it. I feel like it's at least a low B. All right. Maybe not necessarily that it's better than Bamboo, but I feel like it gets a low B Just the fact that it has a lot of range, or its range is really far. And when you actually utilize that, and you're consistently actually being able to shoot people from afar, and actually be able to use it that way, then yeah, it does do quite a lot. Like, I can't even really say the weapon's good. I think it's okay, but there's just like no reason to use it like over Splat Charger or E-liter. And I feel like you do much more with the Squiffer than you do with this. But the thing is, I feel like you do more with this than you do with Bamboo. At least in my opinion. Inkbrush. I think we just put this at B. Like, if you're good at Inkbrush, you'll probably get some stuff done with it. The Inkbrush in general is just a really solid weapon. That's why I put it in B. It's definitely not better than the vanilla one, because I think you do way more with the vanilla one compared to this one. The fact that it has a stamp, yeah, I think it deserves to be in B. It's probably like a lower B. The gold Aerospray, where do we want to put this? I think it's still in C. Like, it gets Booyah Bomb, but you don't really do much with the weapon other than, like, paint. Like, around here between 96 and, Dynamo. You know, it has a sprinkler. Okay, you can farm Booyah Bombs more. I don't know. I feel like if you really want to get a Booyah Bomb, you just still use Slosher. I don't feel like there's really any reason to use this over that. The Dapple's Nouveau. Now, I haven't actually used this weapon a lot, but looking at the kit, it having Torpedo and Reef Sighter seems okay. Like, that doesn't seem horrible. Basically, the Tetra, if you didn't want to do the Tetra stuff, given the less movement, I think right now, this is probably like, if you're gonna play Dapples, like in an aggressive way, you pick this one and not this one. I think Torpedo with this weapon is really good. Or is really strong combination. I only think it deserves a B at most. I think Reef Sighter does work with the weapon, but again, it's a Reef Sighter, and I think there needs to be a little bit of a buff to Reef Sighter so that you can actually, like, hopefully live afterwards. I think that just has to stay there for now. I think there's only so much you can do with that. Carbon Roller. Wait, Carbon Roller, the Carbon Deco. Okay. Okay, yeah, no, hang on, no. This is S tier weapon. This is an S tier weapon, wait. I was about to say, maybe it's gonna be an A. Nah, this is definitely an S tier weapon. The Carbon Deco is just like, oh my god, alright, you throw a burst one, you swing, dead. And at the same time, you have Trizuka for long range. It's like, yeah, it's such a good weapon. That weapon's sick. I think it's in its own niche as well, that you probably might not see it that much. Just the fact that Crab is so strong. I don't know if anyone's tried it, but I wonder what this weapon is like with Object Shredder. How would it deal with Wave Breakers and Crabs when it's just swinging it? I wonder maybe in the future they do like a buff to this weapon where like it's like the Splatana, where like you whack a crab and it literally destroys like objects like crabs and waves, you know? That'd be really cool. And then this probably would be moved up to X tier. Zink Mini Splatling. Alright. Now I really wanted the Zink Mini Splatling to be like a solid weapon, but like it just doesn't feel like does a lot. Strange. It's strange actually. It's just alright. It's really weird because like this weapon, in terms of what it was like in Splatoon 1, so strong. I mean, obviously it was completely different because it was Poison Mist and a regular bubbler, but this is Big Bubbler and Toxic Mist. I say Poison Mist, it was Disruptor back in Splatoon 1. It doesn't work like how it does in Splatoon 1, obviously. So I think the most I can put it is like B for now. It's not really like something that you'd want to use, you know. What probably will make this stronger, I don't even think it's the kit necessarily. I think it's mainly just they probably need to rebuff Mini Splatling to have decent ink efficiency again. I think that's one thing the Mini Splatlings struggle a lot with, is just maintaining the amount of ink they have. Moving on to this thing. All right, the Slosher Deco. What are we gonna do to the Slosher Deco? This has Line Maker and Zipcaster, and I think this is actually a really solid zip casting weapon, but I think this right now is probably gonna be a B tier, because like I'm just thinking in terms of zipcaster weapons, yeah, it's a good zipcaster weapon, but it struggles in maintaining its own pain. It gets overwhelmed by a lot of things, and when I think of like things like this Octobrush in terms of zip casting, I feel like the Octobrush still does a better job. I feel like it does a better job also in terms of like maintaining and holding its own in terms of ink coverage and all that. And I don't feel like it doesn't get as overwhelmed as other weapons, you know. So I think this it's just gonna be a B for now. I don't know about that. Big Swig Roller. Right, where do you think I'm gonna put the Big Swig Roller? I've used the Big Swig Roller and I know how it's supposed to play. Or I feel like I have a good understanding of how I feel like it's supposed to play. I feel like it's going to be in B for now. Mainly because its paint is amazing. It has amazing paint. I feel like the people who have been trying to learn how to use Big Swig Roller just so you understand how it's used, don't play it like a splat roller. Don't play it like a carbon. It's its own playstyle, I'm telling you. Imagine a flinger roller, except it's horizontal and you don't jump. This is what the weapon it is. The thing about the Big Swig Roller is that its horizontal flick is actually decently quick. The kind of way you play it is that you run around and literally just flick the thing, you know? You just flick it around, just get paint on the ground, and even just while fighting too. That's how you fight people. Like, it's like they want you to utilize hitting people for 70 and like twice, you know? If you've seen my Big Swig Roller video, I urge you to go watch it, because it's me learning it, but at some point you get to see like a different way of how a roller is supposed to be played, because like we're so used to just using a roller and like running up to people, one swinging them and all that. Like, I feel like a lot of people have gone ahead and used the Big Swig, and like, since they know that the vertical flick is the way you kill with this weapon, they like all just adjusted and just went ahead and used that. But you don't have to do that all the time. You're probably not going to do that all the time. I feel like you're probably going to only really use that in terms of like if you're flicking people on a ledge. Even on a ledge, maybe you might do the horizontal flick, but the vertical, I feel like it works better on the ledges, or like if you can assure that someone is going to die by it, because I feel like so many times since you go for it, you might actually like miss with it. So if you're trying to fight with this weapon, use the horizontal flick and don't jump. And if anything, use the wall to your help. I think it deserves to be at least in B. Nova, not the Nova, the Forge Pro. You might be surprised at where I put this, guys. Where do you think I'm gonna put the Forge Pro? Some say S, some say A. Well, I'm going to show you where I'm gonna put this, guys. A lot of you guys are saying S and A. Personally, I don't think it's that great. Okay, so like the Splattershot Pro is a weapon. I do enjoy using it. I see a lot of the time when using a Splattershot Pro, it doesn't really get a lot of stuff like done. Like, first of all, okay, you have Booyah Bomb and that's great, but it doesn't get the Booyah Bomb quick. The Suction Bomb is great, but when you throw in the Suction Bomb, you have no ink afterwards. And it's not like the K Pro from Splatoon 2 where you have like amazing damage output because you stacked a bunch of main power upon the weapon. It's nothing like that. And like in terms of its own initiation, like if you're trying to rush an area, the Splattershot Pro, let's just be honest, it doesn't do that great, you know? Like, I don't know if it's like the slower shot velocity on this weapon or if they slowed it down a lot. Of course, you can hit it if you have solid aim and you'll hit stuff, but like, I feel like there's just so many other weapons in this game that you could do the exact same thing or try to initiate or push a certain area much better. Speaking like the 52 gal being right there, if like you could do the exact same thing with the 52 gal and be even safer with a wall. The Splattershot Pro or the Forge Splattershot Pro, I don't feel like you're as safe. Like, if we're gonna put it in B, I'll put it in like at least a high B, because I think the kit is amazing. It's a good kit. You just can't use a lot of the kit, you know? Like, you can't use it as much as other weapons. Like, you got Slosher Machine, and you got 52 gal, and you have Squeezer, and you have a Splattershot, which all those weapons, I feel like most of the time, if you're going to do that exact same thing or try to get something done, you're gonna have a much easier time in that initial initiation. I feel like that is where I'm gonna leave the Forge for now. Splattershot. Now, the Tentatek Splattershot, personally I think is really solid. This is a really interesting one for me. I feel like with this weapon, you get more done compared to the Splattershot, even with it having Tri-Strike. I think right now it's the best Tri-Striking weapon in the game. If like it's either S or A, really thinking about it, I think this, like, it's probably like the lowest S tier weapon right now. The only reason for why it won't be S or X, because it's not doing as much as these weapons. It feels like a strong weapon. No one's gonna run it if you could just run Splash at the same time. But the weapon itself, it's not bad. It's not horrible. We're gonna do the custom Splattershot Junior. For now, I am going to put the custom Splattershot Junior respectfully at X. Cause this weapon can spam wave breakers so much, more than heavy splatling, more than the Dualie Scorcher, obviously more than the Range Blaster. If you want a Wave Breaker, it's always down. And at the same time, you're always being able to throw the Torpedo, which is just extra recon. And that's just more ways to make people either hide in ink or jump, or Like, you just make people dance with this weapon. It's quite funny, actually. I feel like on certain maps, it's really, really good on zones. I feel like just on every map, it can do something. Like, I think having constant wave breakers is always really nice. Because it allows your team just to like be able to do whatever it wants, you know? Like, it just assures your team that you can clear an area like almost all the time really quickly. Paired with it, and of course the weapon is solid too. Like, we can't, like, I put the Splattershot Junior there because of course the kit's good, like Splat Bomb Big Bubbler, like, it's great. But also the weapon, just using it in general too, it's also really solid, and it paints a lot too. And since the weapon, of course, is really solid, and the kit again is amazing, the custom Splattershot Junior kit, it also deserves to be there too. So I'm just like, why not? Why would it not be an X weapon? You know, it does a whole lot for a team. Personally, I think Wavebreaker is really, really strong. That's just, obviously, it's my opinion. You guys might think differently. You might think it's an A weapon. You might think it's S. But personally, I feel like people will probably get more utilization out of this Splattershot Junior than this one. We got one more weapon, guys. The Nova. Where the heck do you think I'm going to put the Nova Splattershot? Now, a lot of people might think D. A lot of people might think C. Maybe some people think X. I don't know. Is this a killing weapon? Is this a support weapon? What does this weapon do? What will this weapon do? There's a lot to talk about this weapon. And I feel like this weapon needs a lot of buffs. It definitely does need some buffs. And it's not a damage buff for me personally, for I feel like what it needs. A painting buff, first of all. Because weirdly enough, the Splattershot Pro, depending on how you paint with it, it can paint like maybe just as well as Nova, which is weird. Yeah, this weapon needs a painting buff. It also needs an accuracy buff too. If we're going to talk about that, this weapon definitely needs that. But apart from that, its movement is amazing. It has great movement. I think its kit is also really good. In terms of point censoring and like locating people, if you put the right build on, you can do a lot with this, and it's just so annoying to deal with if the person's playing it right. So personally, I think that it gets an X. No, I'm kidding. No, personally, I think it gets an A. I think personally. Alright. Personally, I think it's just a really low A. I don't think it's a B because I feel like people underestimate how strong it can be for everyone to always know where people are on the map. And as long as people are actually throwing their point sensors to locate and making it their like life's duty to make sure that they know where everybody is on the map. Like, I don't feel like people think this way. Like, okay, actually, no, I'm gonna make you guys think this way. When you are point censored, guys, what do you do? Do you start running to the enemy's direction? Do you, like, start flanking? Like, what's the initial thing that you guys do? Because most of the time, what you probably do is, like, you get point censored, and you think, oh, everyone can see me on the map. Let me move back. I'm telling you guys, I play this weapon, I mark everybody. The thing that you first notice all the time is that no one on the other team thinks to move forward because they can't. If they do, they're just throwing themselves in there, and then the entire other team can like basically like pounce on them, you know? If you ignore it, then you're probably dying. Like, if you ignore it and then you start pushing in and playing as your normal, you're gonna probably die a whole lot more. But I feel like the mentality that goes behind it is that when someone's point censored, they're less likely to start engaging or start doing anything, so they start moving back. They play way more defensive. And in cases like that, it makes it a whole lot easier, especially when you can see everyone on the map. It makes it a whole lot easier for our team to like single out one person to make sure that they can capitalize on that one person and then take him out completely. Because it's just enhancing the awareness of everyone, you know? As long as, of course, if you play on a team and people can actually like play off it or play against it. Yeah, it counts as Ninja Squid as too. Like, Ninja Squid used to be like a big thing in this game too. Especially at the start of the meta. But point sensors completely stop that. Like, it's the best way to actually stop that, and if you can throw a lot of them, which this weapon does allow, it does quite a lot. So yeah, guys, that's what I feel about Nova. I don't know. Like, obviously, it's not supposed to kill. It's not made for that. But if you can toss those point sensors as much as possible and then play off it, and then like use the killer whale to replenish yourself and throw more point sensors and make them move even more. It does quite a lot. That's my reason for why I'd put it in A. It's a low A. I just feel like it does more for a team than a Splattershot Pro would do more for a team. Although I think the Splattershot Pro, obviously, if you're fighting, it probably does way more than a Nova. But I think utility-wise, I think the Nova can be more helpful. Looking at the tier list, guys, this is the updated tier list. This is the updated tier list. As you see, these are the X weapons, these are the S weapons, these are the A weapons, and these are B weapons, these are C weapons, and the whole Umbrella class is all in D. The whole Umbrella class is just in D. That's crazy. Yeah, man. This is what I did. This is what my tier list, the main weapon tier list for version 2.0.1. Obviously, when the new season comes out, I'll do another tier list to see how things have changed, because definitely things are going to be changing. I think we're expecting a patch this month in January of some different things, so we can expect maybe the Splash Matic being nerfed, or maybe the Slosher machine being nerfed. I didn't even talk much about the Slosher machine, but literally nothing has changed with the weapon other than it not being able to shoot through walls now. But the weapon is still really damn freaking strong. I don't know what they're going to be able to do with that to make it not as strong, but we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below to give me your opinion to see what you guys think. I'd like to hear it because I do read my YouTube comments and all that. I appreciate you guys watching this. I hope you enjoyed. We'll do another one when the next season comes out. And things will probably change by then. And I'll give you guys my opinion of how things have changed. So join the Discord. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitch. Become these guys, these nice people saying bye. And follow me on Twitch and Twitter and all that type of stuff. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.